I'm Jared Dillian. This is the Jared Dillian Show. Yes, welcome back. We're going to be talking. I'm not going to tell you what we're talking about. Actually, I talked about it a couple of minutes ago, so it's not that much of a surprise. If you want to call to talk about your money, please call 844-305-7800. That's 844-305-7800. This is the Jared Dillian Show. You can also go to my website, which is jareddillianmoney.com, which I think would be a good idea because there's some stuff there that you might be interested in, including a masterclass on bonds if you would like to learn about bonds. You know, it's hard to sell like it's hard to sell classes where people want to learn stuff. I mean, even college, like nobody wants to learn anything in college. Yes. So I talk a lot about how we should be focusing more on the top line rather than the bottom line. And I'm not talking about a company. I'm talking about you. You're just like a company. You have revenue. You have income from your job. And you have expenses. And the profit is what's left over at the end of the day. And that's what you save or you spend. Okay. So the revenue side, how much you make, is not constant. Okay. You can make more. A lot of people don't understand that. They say, well, I'm a teacher. I make $40,000 a year. That's what I get paid. And I'm like, okay, well, you can have another job, but that would suck. Nobody wants, I don't know why you want two jobs. Maybe you can get a different job that pays more. Maybe you can start a business. Maybe you can sell organs. I don't know. It doesn't, and it's just like, there's a lot of things that you can do to make more money. And people like they view that salary, they're like, that's what I make. And you can ask for a raise, It's super frustrating. And the reason I bring this up is this is why most people in the country, when I say most, I want to say like 98%, most people in the country have a scarcity mentality. They say, I get paid $60,000 a year and that's all the money. And we have to divide it up, and we have to cut and cut and cut. And the more I cut, the more money I will have. But instead of slicing and dicing the pie, why not make the pie bigger? So I went through this. I was 26 years old. I was in the Coast Guard. I was making $45,000 a year. Now, my standard of living was decent for making $45,000 a year. And that was all the income in our household. My wife was going, and I had a condo that was nice. It was a nice condo. We were living in California. We had a good life. Now, what I could have done at the time was I could have said, I want to get more money. So what we're going to do is just eat ramen noodles. We're just going to cut all the food. And I'll have an extra $5,000 a year. And that's how I'm going to get more money. But you see the futility of this, right? You can only cut so much. And then you start getting down to bare bones, and then you're not happy. Then life sucks. Then you're just down to bare bones. So the better thing to do is think about how to make the pie bigger. So that's what I did. And instead of staying in the same career, which, if I stayed in the Coast Guard, I would have. If I made captain, which is a big if, but if I made captain, I would have ended up making about $140,000 a year. I would have made more money over time. But what I did was I actually said, let's do something completely different and try to make an ass load of money. And it worked out really well. So I was making $45,000 a year, and 6-7 years later, I was making $850,000 a year. Now, if I had just focused on slicing and dicing the pie, that I never would have made any more money. So some people have a scarcity mentality. I have an abundance mentality, right? And I think I acquired that abundance mentality working on Wall Street. And, you can crap all over Wall Street all you want. There are some good things about Wall Street, especially the Wall Street from 10, 20 years ago. And the one cool thing about Wall Street is that as a business, Wall Street did not worry about expenses. If you took clients out to dinner and you got 3 bottles of wine, somebody didn't say, hey, you shouldn't get 3 bottles of wine. They're like, good, spend money. In fact, salespeople had a budget. They're like, you're supposed to spend $50,000 this year. And if they didn't spend it, they would get in trouble. Like the goal was to spend as much money as possible. And instead of worrying about the expense side, they worried about the revenue side and how much money they can make. And, you know, I was doing index arb and ETFs, and I was in the equities division. And in equities, you know, I think when I started, it was a $2 billion business. And in 2006, it was a $6 billion business. And the managers of the equities division, I never heard them say, we have to cut expenses. I never heard them say that. They never said that. What they said was, we're going to get to $3 billion, we're going to get to $4 billion, we're going to get to, they were making the pie bigger. And that's the mentality that everybody had. By the way, that mentality is gone on Wall Street. Now they watch expenses, and you cannot cut your way to profitability. So I have an abundance mentality. There's a lot of money out there that you can make, and you just get it with a little bit of work. And some people are wildly successful at this, and some people are a little successful. But I bet you can make more money if you try. And the first way to get more money is to just ask for a raise. My guess is that your boss thinks about himself all the time and doesn't think about you, because that's what most people do. They think about themselves all the time. They don't think about their employees. They have their own stuff to worry about. The guy's life is probably in turmoil, okay? So he's just worried about his own stuff. So if you want a raise, you have to ask for it. And he'll be like, oh, a raise? Sure, why not? You know, I mean, how much are you asking for? 10 grand? Okay. You know, like, seriously, that's probably the way, like, half of these conversations go. You know, if the money is there and you ask and you're doing a good job, they'll probably give it to you. Which brings up a whole other discussion about, you know, if you want to make more money, then you should get your boss to like you. If your boss doesn't like you as a person, if you're not friends, then you're probably not going to get a raise. But that's a whole other discussion. Anyway, you know, on Wall Street, they used to say you have to ask for the business. Like, you would try to get this hedge fund to trade with you, and you drop hints and you beat around the bush and you say, hey, I'm here, whatever. You have to ask. You have to say, trade with us, please. You have to, can I have a raise? You have to just be direct. A lot of people can't do that. My guess is that you can also get paid more money if you look for other jobs. And I've done that twice in my life. First, I was a Coast Guard guy. Then I became a Wall Street guy. Then I became like a financial media guy. Okay. So twice in my life, I've blown up my identity. You know, when I was in the Coast Guard, I was really in the Coast Guard. I had like this high and tight, zero blade on the sides. You know, it was almost like a flat top. I lifted weights all the time. I mean, I looked like I was in the military, and that was my life. And in order to become a Wall Street guy, I had to blow that up. I had to like get a different haircut, dress different, act different. I had to change everything. And to be the person I am right now, I had to change everything again, you know? And this is why that's hard for people. I mean, the example I always use, you're a teacher, you want to make more money, you become a real estate agent. Well, you know, guess what? Like, if you were a teacher, like, you can't dress the same, you can't act the same. It's just a different world. You have to blow up your identity. And I've done it twice. So the abundance mentality. The scarcity mentality is giving up coffee. That's the scarcity mentality. The abundance mentality is opening up 10 pizza places. And not just one, but like 10. And you know, the funny thing about starting a business, everyone says it's hard. Okay, it's hard in the beginning. Like, setting stuff up is hard. It's fun, but it's hard. It's a lot of work. Once you have a business going, it's not that hard. It's okay. Like, it's, you know, I mean, I work hard, but like, you know, my newsletter business has been going for like 11 years and it's okay. Like, it takes some maintenance and it's fine. Jeff Bezos was running the biggest company in the world and he had time to cheat on his wife. He had time to cheat on his wife and have this whole affair and send pictures of his junk. And like, I mean, seriously, think about that. Amazon.com, the biggest company in the world, and Jeff Bezos like had all these extracurricular activities. So business is not that hard. Everybody says that business is so hard. It's cutthroat. Not really. You can come in like 4th place and still have a great living. I don't have the best newsletter in the world. I have like the 3rd or 4th best newsletter, and it's doing great. So it's not that hard. You keep telling yourself that it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard, and it's really not that hard. A hot dog stand in New York City makes $40,000 a year. One hot dog stand. I'm Jared Dillian. This is The Jared Dillian Show.